Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my debate. Now, the government side has managed to do some things. The government side has managed to mention some interesting things. Yet again, all of their idea can be stemmed from what? From animal rights. And I do believe animal rights is important, but they also forgot to mention that they cannot scientifically prove the existence of consciousness within the animals itself. Now, no, we can prove, logically speaking and scientifically speaking, we can prove that the brain do exist. The brain, I mean, in fact, the hypothalamus and then the brain, the cerebrum itself do exist in animals. But the question should be asked is that are those components or are those brains that we're talking here are able to function as a conscious? That is still debatable, up for debate. Now, let's catch up. Let's get to my first point of the day. So naturalism. My first point is naturalism stems from what? Stems from the idea of that millions of years of evolution / genetics that built up humans as the omnivores, as the apex predators. Now, if we switch up and if we challenge that motion with what? If we challenge this premise with the idea of we switch to plant-based, if we switch back to total plant-based diet, it will not be good for a human because we cannot digest and we cannot completely break down a component found commonly in plant-based diet. For example, cellulose. If we opt to switch to total natural plant-based diet, yeah, we will not be able to break down the cellulose. Second point is that nutritional value. Now this one is still debatable until now, even day-to-day basis. Now, if we compare plant-based diet and if we compare meat-based diet, logically speaking, there are going to be some logically speaking, there are going to be nutritional value differences. For example, you cannot find creatine in plant-based diet. Why? This is important because creatine is used alongside with protein to build up muscles. If an individual does not consume enough creatine, it leads to what? It leads to muscle atrophy. What is muscle atrophy? The muscle does not grow to optimum size. That is why we can find a percentages of plant-based diet individual that his or her physique is not that good. So that's the second point. The third point is what? Money in this case can be extended to what? It can be extended to industrialization. There are three subpoints that I would like to mention. First point is that industry, in this case meat-based industry, is too big to topple. In this case, that there are a few countries out there in this world, they rely solely to meat-based export. For example, Mongolia and Japan, both of them consume and both of them export meat on day-to-day basis. Second point is veganism lifestyle. Alhamdulillah, veganism lifestyle is too expensive to cost on day-to-day basis. Now, the fact that this is an explicit fact. If you go to public mall, and then if you compare the prices between regular meat-based diet and then a plant-based diet, which one will cost more and which one will cost less? I think that is explicit. I do believe that the meat-based diet is a lot cheaper and a lot affordable in this case. So again, it cancels out the entire government statement easily. The fourth point is what? Environmental impact. Again, three sub-points, very easy. First point is that agricultural meat-based industry does emit carbon gas, but if we compare that to other gas emitting sectors, yeah, the impact or the quantity is not that significant. I mean, if you compare a dairy farm to a coal-based power plant, yeah, I think it's explicit like here which one will emit more gas and which one will emit less gas. Second sub-point is very fatal to the government because they only cherry pick. Why? They cherry pick and they state the fact easily that a meat-based company, if he wants to open a farm, it will take up more space and it will be harmful for the environment. Why? Because the companies will tend to burn the forest down. Again, cherry picking. Again, very fatal mistake here. The government only managed to pick an example from the meat-based diet. Why not pick another from other industry? For example, if a company wants to open up a farm, open up a space for a crude palm oil industry, they will also burn land down. They will also burn forest. Again, cherry picking, very fatal mistake. Third point is that if we cut down meat industry, the effect will not be that great, environmentally speaking, because that if we compare it in quality and quantity, there are still a lot of greenhouse emitting, not greenhouse, gas emitting, carbon gas emitting industries out there that still do emit larger amount of carbon greenhouse gas. So again, I do not see any relevancies. Fifth, fifth point is very simple, very easy. Societies change, society do change, people behavior, etc., etc., etc. But people's behavior and era will change. I do believe that is true. But culture will not change. There are few cultures there which is very hard to change. For example, why? Which is the people who adhere to those traditional customs, they are a conservationism, means they are hard and they tend to refuse change. Now coming to my closing statement, again this one is very simple and yet logical speaking. So the concept of animal rights is challenged by what? Death and suffering. Now the fact that the government side fails miserably to separate the concept of death and to separate the concept of death and suffering. Why? This is very important. If you really hate the concept of death of the animal so much, then why not go out there and prevent any animals dying? But logically speaking, there are also human ways to end suffering. For example, right now there are ways to kill an animal without pain. So again, without suffering. So again, permissible. So which cancel out your entire argument. So thank you for listening today.